Okay, thank you. The next part, let's welcome our speaker, Toastmaster Artemis Mayat. I don't have your speech title and the any introduction on that. So, do you want to introduce your speeches first to us?
Okay, I just thought about why I didn't put that in there, but it's going to be presentation mastery. It's going to it be the L3 elective using descriptive language, 5 to 7 minutes for the timer. The title is Benefits of a Counter Grammarian. The benefits of a counter grammarian. And it's more of a tutorial of my own notes that I find to be very helpful when I have the role as a counter grammarian. So, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, special guest, did you know that 90% of people are ineffective listeners? For example, some people use selective listening hearing, such as, for example, hearing what you want to hear so that you can respond, or hearing what you think that person is trying to portray, but you don't really know. Then there's critical listening or hearing, which is tuning out altogether what is being said. And then there's another one that's very interesting and increase your vocabulary, and it's pronounced pseudo. It's spelled Pseudo, pseudo. And it's pretending to listen, but you're not really listening. I have someone that just said, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, he hasn't heard anything I said, really. I just know it. And then there are several benefits, moving on, of a counter grammarian. A counter grammarian. What is an a counter grammarian? What are the benefits? Serving as an a counter grammarian, for one, is an excellent opportunity and challenging exercise in, in practicing effective listening and or active listening, as some say, either or. Some of the benefits are mastering word usage, and it helps people improve their grammar by mastering new words, vocabulary, word of the day, increasing your vocabulary with new and unusual and creative language. I am always impressed with someone who uses something really impressive. It's not like your normal words, but it's just something just so sophisticated, like, wow. They tell you in such a way that you just go, they just told me off, but they told you in a very exquisite way. An extra benefit is that we notice how often and how easy it is to make these mistakes as we practice, prepare, and propel ourselves to a higher level. So next time, in other words, you never give up with knowing that you have these crutches. You can only get better by practicing, recording yourself, listening for these crutch words that we so often have. And some of the crutch words and the role of the grammarian is to note the run-on, the incomplete sentences, the crutches such as but, so, well, incomplete sentences, changing indirect midstream of a sentence you started, and then you start and go, oh, well, let me see. Repeating yourself, this means. Those are called double clutches. And malaproposins, such as saying electoral instead of electrical. This is really interesting role. And I've learned a lot myself in singular words that you use instead of words that should be plural. Um, Padding phrases, that's a new one. And that means saying things like basically, literally, to be honest, at the end of the day. So these are things that are called padding phrases. I didn't even know that there was a such thing as a padding phrase. One thing I could recommend, and it's something I've researched, is to record yourself so that you can actually hear that and really record yourself when you have to give a speech and listen for the patterns when you're recording yourself. You can also, instead of going for that clutch word, just embrace silence and replace it with pauses. And that absorbs some of your crutches. Practice intentional pauses and deliberate pauses. You can also slow down. Keep sentences short. Listen for patterns when they appear. Practice, know your material, practice out loud, focus on connecting emotionally with your audience. Thank you, Madam Tabletop Toastmaster.
Thank you for your speech, Toastmaster Artemis Mayet.
Thank you.
That was very informative. It's very good learning for all of us, I believe. And let's welcome our next speaker, Toastmaster Bill Liverman. His title will be Expect the Unexpected.
Well, good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. And I'm so excited to be here tonight. And I'm looking forward to this speech. And I'm very excited. I will say one thing. A few months ago, I gave the speech. It was prior to my book publication. That was time prior to that, the book, Dare Mighty Things, A Journey from the Potato Fields to a PhD. Well, I'm happy to report that with the advent tonight, that my book has been published September 2025. In that process, I learned so many things. And prior to that, I did speak on the topic, Expect the Unexpected. There were two things in the book that I mentioned. And tonight I'll mention something that was not mentioned in the first speech, because it was something that happened a few weeks ago regarding the title, Expect the Unexpected. And for those who were not here a few months ago, I gave two examples of expect the unexpected. Number one, that was in the book, I opened the book with Our House Burned Down. Myself, growing up in the Jim Crow South, house burned down, 8 siblings. My mother, one cold night in North Carolina, house burned down. My mother said, children, get up, the house is on fire. And of course, that's how I open up the book. And by the grace of God, we were all spared. So that was the first part of this book. I was sleeping great that night. Notice the title, Expect the Unexpected. Did we expect our house to burn down? No, it did not. We did not expect that. But again, in the process, we survived by the grace of God. And again, that's all in the first part of the book. Then I moved forward in the book with in fact, I thought it was the end. I thought, hey, this is end. What happened this past November of 2020, this past November 2024, we had my daughter, who we adopted, then she was 5 years old, almost got killed in a car accident. The grace of God, she survived. She's doing fine now, but she a brakes went out. She hit a wall. And of course, we thank God for that. Her life was saved. She was 5 years old when we adopted Arvanda, and now I tease her because I say, you're close to 40 now. And she laughed about that. But in that whole process, again, the title, Expect the Unexpected. We were all having a good day during that time. Little did we know that we would get a call from the hospital that our daughter, Mariah, had gotten a severe car accident, several broken bones. But to this day, she's doing fine. In this whole process, I said, well, I thought that this was the end of my book in terms of the accident. But little did I know that the first part of 2025, this year, I just knew that was the end of the book, the end of the chapter. Little did I know that this past December, my wife and I were shopping, and during the time that we had the snow, it was ice, we drove to our home, and she slipped and broke a bone in her foot. That happened. Our van had an accident in September. My wife had an accident in December. And I said, what's going on here? Then this past January of 2025, I had a pain in my back. And I said, what's going on here? Went to Henry Ford Hospital in Southfield. And they say, Liverman, you have a little cyst in your back. I said, well, okay, what's the problem? He said, well, we may have to, you need surgery. That whole time, I said, wait a minute. My daughter had a car accident. My wife broke her foot, and I had surgery at Providence Hospital in Southfield. 3 things. And the thing that I see now, I called my publication director. I said, Shana, wait, we need to add another chapter. She said, what, Dr. Liverman? This last chapter, expect the unexpected. We did not expect my daughter to have a car accident, did not expect my wife to have broken her foot, and did not expect me needing surgery in my cyst to remove a cyst in my back. So I wrote the final chapter in my mind, expect the unexpected. However, in this whole end of the summation of the book, one other thing took place. Although I had finished the book, I called my publication director, said, we need to add another chapter. And she said, Dr. Lim, what's the last chapter? Expect the unexpected. And that's, by the way, that's in the book, the last chapter. Now, I just knew, I said, well, okay, that's fine. But Leslie, I know when you plan your life journey, whether it's at the advent, the end, or just in the middle, you have to always move forward. Little did I know, expect the unexpected. I received a call 3 weeks ago from the Chris Voss podcast show. And some of you, I'm sure some of you have heard of the Chris Voss podcast show. It has been rated the top 1% of all podcast shows in the world. Now, I'm thinking that, so I got a call from the podcast team. I thought they just wanted to ask me a few basic questions about the book. And the basic word was that, Dr. Liverman, we were so impressed with your journey from the beginning. Each chapter flowed from all the heartaches and the turmoil and the resilience. What we would like for you to do, in fact, this is 2 weeks ago, we would like to invite you on the Chris Voss podcast show to give a 4 to 5 minute interview on my book. I said, wait a minute, expect the unexpected. You see, when you mention expect the unexpected, most people say, oh yeah, it's gonna be bad. It can go either way. Expect the unexpected could be what? The good, the bad, or the ugly. Now, little did I know that in this whole process of my life journey, that yes, go back to the car accident, go back to my wife broke her foot, I had surgery, and I'm thinking the journey was over. But right 2 weeks ago, the expect the unexpected. Little did I know that Chris Voss podcast show 20 years in terms of interviewing entrepreneurs, business people, ministers, people from all walks of life have appeared on that show. So again, stay tuned. Sometime in January, I get the official date where I will be doing an interview on the Chris Voss podcast show. I'm learning as I go, each breath I take, as we move forward in life, we have to always, always, always expect the unexpected. And that's the way we can turn what lemon, the bitterest experience in life, to lemonade. As we go through the tests and trials and tribulations, know that there's lemonade on the other side. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bill Liverman, for the excellent speech. It is so great to hear you tell these stories all this time. It's very amazing to me that you had accidents and illness, and then you turned that into a new chapter of your book and new opportunity. That's so great to hear. And we all very proud of you. Now, next, go to our next session for the table topics. Our table topics master today is Bill Moylan. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, everyone. In the Advent time of the year, one of the special things I get to do is give out a whole series of donations. I hope all of you participated in Giving Tuesday. Well, for me, it's Giving Week. And one of the many organizations that I support is COTS, Coalition on Temporary Shelter. And if you too help them out, you will get a whole list of table topics. See good things come back to you. So, Sheila, you'll get the first one from COTS. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? Sheila Buswell.
Thank you, Bill. That's a question that made me think for a minute. I would say Korea because my parents lived there a long time ago and I love the food. Like, oh my gosh. There's so many things I think that are spicy but in a good way and spicy in a taste. Kimchi is one of my favorites, and that's probably the only way I consume cabbage willingly. I there's so many places I want to visit, but that's the one that I honestly think would make the most interesting, and I have a list simply because my parents had been there years ago. I have a lot of stuff from there, and I like the food, so I like the idea of not going hungry. I've been to places and had just terrible food. Like people talk about the food in Italy, and I had high expectations, I guess. So when I went to Italy, I was like, what is going on? Like, why is there this on my pizza? Why is there a raw egg or something? Like, because I didn't know the language and I was just pointing at things and I didn't know what all came. And that would probably be the case in Korea also, but the adventure of it. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Sheila. Our next participant is Kim. Kim, with the advent of artificial intelligence, if you could have a robot helper for a day, what task would you have it do for you? If you could have a robot helper for a day, what task would you have it do for you? Kimberly.
This is tricky because I am a little bit afraid of the robots having artificial intelligence to the point where they can accept requests and or commands from human beings. I am a little bit afraid of the robots that have that level of intelligence. I'm a little bit afraid of the ethics of potentially having a robot with that level of intelligence being like in a helper role or potentially subjugated. So I would definitely ask the robot, are you willing to help me? Is this something you want to do? And then if the robot says yes, I would ask it to help me organize my linen closet because it's horrible. It's a terrible mess. Towels everywhere, medicine everywhere, travel size stuff that I hardly ever use. I could really use help with that, but only if the robot really, really wants to, because I don't want there to be a robot uprising where I get got by the robots because they're mad at me. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Our next is Artemis. Artemis, what is your earliest memory? What is your earliest memory? Artemis.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. You know what comes to mind is Christmas. When I was little, I'm taking myself back to when I was 7 years old, and my cousins Sherry and Billy used to come visit me, and my mother would tell us, well, my grandmother would make cake from scratch. Oh man, she didn't have no box or nothing, just drew everything together. We all sit on the floor with this big giant piece of newspaper and figured out who's gonna eat, who's gonna have the spoon, who's gonna have the mixers and the bowl, and that was like such a big deal. And she also told us that Santa Claus was watching us. He was very real. So I really was advocate every Christmas on writing letter out and making sure that I gave it to the mailman. And I was so sincere with him to make sure this letter got to the North Pole. And I was like really serious about it. And I really believed it because I got the stuff that I put in the letter. She said that he had a crystal ball too. So I was on my best behavior because I used to kind of bully Sherry. But during that time, I was like perfect little, just make sure, I didn't say anything, do anything. We went downtown to Hudson's, and that was like such a treat. And we used to go on the elevators and eat the popcorn and the peanuts that were on a certain floor. And what do you know? Santa Claus was at Hudson's, and we got to sit on his lap and talk about the things that we wanted. That was really important. What do you want for Christmas? And we got this picture taken with Santa Claus, and that was like the pride of my heart. I used to always wait and see if I could catch him during Christmas Eve. I just knew for sure if I said I'm gonna catch him coming down that chimney. I know he's coming. I don't gotta catch him, but I always fell asleep. I guess never did catch him. But those were some special times for me, is believing in Santa Claus and the crush of he's not there anymore. He's not Santa Claus like how I thought he was. Thank you.
Thank you, Artemis.
Right. Right.
Next is Karen. Karen, what is the most interesting book you ever read, and what did you like about it? What is the most interesting book you ever read, and what did you like about it? Karen.
Well, Bill, did Kim put you up to that? I want to explain that one of the things on my list of things I wanted to do when I retired is to read more. So in the 3 years that I've been retired, I've read, I'm going to say about 1 to 2 books a month. And I love reading nonfiction. Every time I read a nonfiction book, I get really excited about it. I want to give a book report to my family. And I've noticed they don't enjoy the advent of my book reports. They seem to be somewhat unimpressed. But I've been reading so many great books. I think the one book that I really thought was wonderful, and I think everyone should read it, is one that's all about weird people. Weird people, that's an acronym for it's Western, educated, and then there's intelligent. R is, I can't remember what the R is for. It's all about Western civilization. So many of the things that we in America, we consider to be normal is because we are raised in Western civilization. Things that everybody here thinks is normal in other parts of the world is not normal at all. And it really opened my eyes to the not just cultural differences, but differences that affect deep into the way people view themselves, their personality, their position in society. Just as an example, individualism. In America and in all of Western society, we highly value individualism. That's not the case in other parts of the world. In other parts of the world, if you're individualistic, you're considered to be selfish, you're going against the rules, you're not part of the group, you're not supporting the village. If you're an individualist, that shows a great deal of disrespect and selfishness. Totally the opposite of what the way we view it. So I would say the book about weird people. And by the way, I said that I stood for something that was individualism. So I recommend the book about weird people. It's big, thick, 500-600 page book. It was, I ate it up. I even read it through twice. That's my recommendation.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you, Karen. Our next is Felice. Felice, if you could design your own amusement park ride, what would it be like and what would it be called? If you could design your own amusement park ride, what would it be like and what would it be called? Felice.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bill Moylan. If I can design my own amusement park ride, I think it's gonna be a very, very mild, maybe it's like a bicycle and flat trail across some of the scenic area. And what would I name it? I don't know, something with breeze and something very easy. So basically, I am not a amusement park kind of person. I hate those rides. And I used to a couple years ago, I went to not Disney, but another really Universal Studio, I think. I went there with my parents, and my parents, they're in their 50s at the time, and they too went on the rides, and I was sitting at the bench watching their clothes. So I never liked those crazy rides, but I do kind of like something that I get to control. So when I say if I can design it, I want it to be like a bicycle kind of thing. But it's not really a bicycle on the road, but it's some with a trail with a track or something to follow, so that I can control the speed and with somewhat of a control, and I can also enjoy the smooth ride and the scenery around it without having any heavy heart pounding experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Felice. Next is Jelena. Jelena, if you could create a new flavor of ice cream, what would it taste like and what would you call it? If you could create a new flavor of ice cream, what would it taste like and what would you call it? Jelena.
I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb here. I might lose some of you. But the first thing that popped to my mind is pizza. Pizza flavored ice cream. I know they put bacon in ice cream, so there must be some sort of combination with the savory that is appealing to people, or people dip their French fries in their Frosties, right? So I think that we could find a happy medium and combine pizza with ice cream. And that, to me, would be the perfect fusion of my two favorite foods. I eat pizza and ice cream all the time. And so putting them together would really just increase efficiency. But I will say, if I could do the opposite and strike a flavor from existence, it would have to be mint ice cream. And I know this is very contentious, but ice cream should not taste like toothpaste. And that is where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Jelena. Interestingly, when I was in France, it wasn't ice cream, but it was flavors of potato chips. One of them was escargot. To each their own.
We've been
Finally, Dr. Bill Liverman,
Yes.
your question. If you could spend a day in a storybook world, which story would you choose and what role would you play? If you could spend a day in a storybook world, which story would you choose and what role would you play? Bill Liverman.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Bill Moreland, regarding this unique topic. If I could be in a storybook world, Dr. Bill, you mind repeating that one more time? I just want to make sure I.
If you could spend a day in a storybook world, which story would you choose and what role would you play?
Okay. Yes. Tabletoppers. Yes, and everyone. What would I choose? Well, I have to go back to my early child, something about age 7, something about, your first grade down in North Carolina, something about that age, and stories Westerns and unique stories, but one thing that is a plethora of different stories, but it's something about the story of it's a bird, it's a plane, it is Superman. There's something about that story that I can see Clark Kent, the little mild-mannered reporter, and he was so timid, and you would think that, wow, he had the big, the thick glasses, and Lois Lane, and that story, it starts out so calm, and so everyone was so quiet and so peaceful. And all of a sudden, some of the bad guys out there, some things happen. All of a sudden, he runs into the booth, he flipped, and all of a sudden, there's Superman. And it's like a transition from a mild-mannered reporter to the one who will fly above the heavens, in the heavens, and take care of all the bad people. So it was like a total transition. And whatever my wife told me the other day, she said, "You still watching Superman at least once a year?" I click on and I watch that. So in that sense, especially this time when everybody that's running, ripping and running, sometimes I just relax, put my pajamas on, and watch some of those unique movies that I enjoyed when I was a little kid. And of course, Superman is right at the top of a story that tells, in my opinion, has a value in terms of good over evil. And thank you very much, Tabletop Master Bill. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. And I'll return the floor to our Toastmaster of the Day, Felice.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bill Moylan. That was a lot of interesting questions. The next part, we are going into our evaluation session. Now let's welcome our General Evaluator, Sheila Buswell.
Thank you, Felice. Every time you're doing a great job, every time I'm like, I should do that. I don't define the rules. I need to, and I will do that and make an effort to do that. General Evaluator is going to explain the roles of the helpers. And in my mind, I always think of the evaluation portion. It's very stressful to give a speech or even to do table topics for me, but I get better and improve or sharpen my sword. I use that analogy a lot when I get evaluated. When what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong is put in bold relief. For me, I can improve upon that. And I think that's what the evaluation portion does. It makes us better. So to start, we're going to go with, so Artemis did her speech and I'm evaluating that. So I'm evaluating that speech. She's not the speaker number 1 was going to be Anthony, and it was going to be evaluated by Jelena, but life is lifing. So I just want to say Artemis, I really appreciated your speech. I often do a counter and I skip over grammarian because I am terrible at that. But that's talking about sharpening my sword. That's something that is we can improve upon being the improving our grammar and pointing it out in other people and being I really appreciate knowing those filler words or those crutch words. I liked how you started talking about listening and the listening skills because it kind of leads into that. You don't listen even to yourself and recording yourself. When you listen, you understand those crutch words and you don't use them as much. And I think you explained it very well. I think the way you did the meeting, your speech gave meaning to everybody in Toastmasters who filled that role and who aims to fill that role. And I appreciated how you explained it and how the meaning behind it was something I didn't know. I was just intimidated by, and I'll do better next time. The one thing is when you talked about practicing and like recording your speech or speeches in general, the lack of, I'm not going to say the lack of, but you talked about recording and practicing and movement. I think movement can be very useful in communication, and I think communication is hard to do in general. But I think when you use words and use a emphasis of physical movement, it's better, and it drives home the point more in bold relief. That's my evaluation. I am better at a written evaluation, and if there's one you want, I think I owe Karen one also. But please email me if there's a special one you want. If not, I'll just use the general one that I find on Toastmasters website. That's my evaluation. Next, we're going to go to, oh gosh. Karen, you're doing, okay. Again, Karen, you're doing this evaluation for the speech, so please.
All right, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Bill Liverman. In this, I don't have the evaluation form in front of me, so I'm going to give a general evaluation. So when I give a general evaluation, I like to talk about what I saw, what I heard, what I felt, and suggestions for improvements. So what I saw was, I saw that you had a lot of expressions and enthusiasm and a great deal of excitement in your delivery. And that made me feel more inclined to lean in and listen, because enthusiasm is infectious. And when I saw, and by the way, the opposite is also true, boredom is infectious. So when I saw your enthusiasm, I was really inclined to be even that more drawn into your story. What I heard is a constant theme throughout your entire speech. It was very consistent about expect the unexpected and making something good out of every situation, to make that lemonade, to transform an event into an outcome. And so I did like that theme throughout. And let's see, so that's what I thought. So that's what I saw, that's what I heard. And what I felt was, I felt that you had a message that is something common to every person, because we all have those things in our lives that come up unexpectedly. And so I felt that you were speaking to the commonality of all human beings. We are shocked when something happens, something good happens, something bad happens. We're always shocked because it's not in our norm. And how we react to that, that's what makes the difference. So I like the overall theme of your speech. My suggestion is to apply what Artemis suggested and that is to listen to a recording of your speech, especially before going in to your podcast, because you do have a tendency to have filler words, and you do have a tendency to sometimes repeat. So listen to that and practice, and as Artema suggested, practice using pauses. If you get a little flustered, just pause. When you pause, you appear more thoughtful. That applies to everybody. When you pause, you appear more thoughtful. Mm-hmm. And you want to give yourself the best presentation when you're presenting yourself publicly on a podcast. So practice your pauses, practice speaking without fillers, and that will put you even in a better light on your podcast. That's my suggestion for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Amen. Thank you.
Madam Evaluator.
Thank you, Karen. Next is the table topics evaluation, which is unique to our club. We evaluate the speeches, extemporaneous speeches, and the table topics. Jelena Verkler is doing the table topics evaluation. Thank you, Jelena.
Thank you. And thank you to Bill, our wonderful table topics master, for that great topic and those very unique questions. And I did appreciate that he worked in the word of the day as he usually does. For Sheila, you talked about where you would go in the world. And I love that you led in with a lot of humor and enthusiasm. It really drew us in. And then your conclusion, you kind of summarized everything that you had said. So I thought that was good structure. But then I realized, or it seemed that you realized you needed to add a little length. So you were able to pivot, which I thought was great. But in the future, I'd like to see you push yourself to kind of work out that structure ahead of time so you know exactly where you're going in that allotted amount of time. Kim, for your robot helper, I think you took this to a really interesting place. You didn't just straight up answer the question. You came up with a really interesting premise that spoke to wider societal issues. And you even got the consent of the robot, which I thought was really cool. I also loved that you had really good use of facial expression and humor. For Artemis, your earliest memory, you spoke about Christmas, which is a very prescient topic. You were very descriptive. I think you took us all back to our childhood with you. One thing that I noticed is that you did use some kind of informal slang or just cutting off words in a way that's not super formal, which I find endearing and relatable, but it is a matter of choice and is probably something that you need to be aware of based on what audience you're speaking to. Karen, you spoke about the most interesting book that you had read. I love that you had that really strong reaction and then immediately provided the context. I can definitely relate to wanting to give a book report. And you did use the word of the day. For the book that you mentioned, The Weird People, I loved your enthusiasm. I loved that you talk about the broader topics of anthropology and normalization. And it made me think, just as we seek out word of the day to expand our vocabulary, we as Toastmasters really should be seeking out books like this to also expand our perspectives so that when we give our speeches, we have more of a background to speak from. It did seem that for the short amount of time that we had here, you were kind of choosing between how much to give of the context and how much to give of the book report. So you went a little over time. So in the future, maybe trying to do that a little more succinctly. For Felice, with your amusement park ride, I can definitely relate. The older I get, the more adverse I get to the typical rides. And I thought yours sounded really appealing. I thought you had great structure explaining why. I personally am being asked to go to Disneyland coming up in March. And so I was wondering, are you going to go on rides with your children? Do you think that your children will want to go on rides? Then for myself with my pizza ice cream, Bill's comment that it's actually the chips as you travel the world that have a lot of different flavors. We've been getting this snack box with different flavors from all over the world, and it's definitely something we've noticed. We actually just had a box from Scotland that was haggis flavored, which is intestines. And Tom thought that was pretty good. And then last, we had Bill Liverman in the storybook world. You had a great word usage with plethora. I really liked the vocal variety. You used different volume and pacing and tone, and you had the gestures with the bird and the plane. Then you added lots of details so we could really see Superman in our head. So I thought that was a great structure, and I have to say your laughter is very engaging. So great job, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jelena. Next is the Counter Grammarian, which is me again, and I aspire to, in the future, keep track of, in the Advent, in the meetings. In 2026, my New Year's resolution will be to, in the future when I hold this role, will be to keep track of grammar. I did not do that this time. I can tell you that the general usage of filler words is, or the ahs, are down. There are, I have noticed when, and Kim, this is not you, I do this too, when I see the background go from green or like the change in colors, I'm like, oh, and then I will put in a filler word because I'm distracted a little bit. I think I did the evaluation for Artemis's speech, and she used two ums, talking about the importance of the counter grammarian. And I think it's because as anybody like focuses on that, you do it. Like my Disneyland, I don't like animals or like mascots with giant heads. So when I went to Disneyland, everybody photobombed my pictures because guess what? They all wanted to come to me. And I think when you think about it more, you do it more. Or I think it's good to be aware of it, but talking about it. So Artemis, you had two. Bill, you had two, but it wasn't Oz. Filler words, crutch words, and recording, like Karen said, would be a good thing because that would catch that. That was it for the filler words this time. Next, we're going to go with the timers report, and that's Kim.
Hello, everybody. The purpose of the timers report is to keep us on track with our meeting. I just marked me down for a filler word. Keep us on track for our meeting. We have a designated amount of time to give our speeches in, and using the timer helps us improve in doing that as we learn and grow. For the prepared speaking portion of the meeting, speaker number 1, Toastmaster Artemis Mayat, spoke for 5 minutes and 24 seconds, which was smack dab in the middle of your 4 to 6 minute time frame. Speaker number 2, Dr. Bill Liverman. I did not know what the time frame was for your speech, but I timed it and it was 8 minutes and 10 seconds. And for our table topic section, Toastmaster Sheila Buswell spoke for 1 minute and 25 seconds. I thought I clicked the button for myself. I didn't, sorry. For Toastmaster Artemis Mayat, she spoke about Christmas for 2 minutes and 12 seconds, so just so slightly over. Distinguished Toastmaster Karen Baird spoke for 2 minutes and 34 seconds about the book, about Weird People, so we were a little bit over there. Toastmaster Felice Wong spoke about her amusement park ride for 1 minute and 39 seconds. Toastmaster Jelena spoke about the pizza flavored ice cream for 1 minute and 10 seconds. And Dr. Bill Liverman spoke about his storybook world being Superman for 2 minutes. The evaluation portion of our meeting, the goal for timing an evaluation of a prepared speech is 2 to 3 minutes. So the first evaluation was Toastmaster Sheila Buswell for the prepared speech by Toastmaster Artemis Mayat in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. The second evaluation was done by Distinguished Toastmaster Karen Baird for Dr. Bill Liverman in 3 minutes and 5 seconds, ever so slightly over. And our table topics evaluation was done by Toastmaster Jelena Verkler. I believe the timing rules on that is 4 minutes. We went teensy over 4 minutes and 8 seconds, and that concludes the timer's report.
Thank you, Kim. The general evaluation I have is just simply that the meeting flowed. We started a little bit late. There was a lot of filling of roles, and we had a lot of not future roles and how we would do that, not this particular time. I think in the that's normal, and it's good to be flexible. Anthony had a work thing come up, and he wasn't able to speak, and we filled that in pretty good. I think I'm very proud of how that worked out, and I think we did a good job there. I'm counter, but I need to slow it because I've already given my report. But the meeting went really well, and thank you for everybody who filled the roles and did their thing. And now I'm handing it back over to the Madam General Evaluator Felice.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you everyone for your wonderful speech and evaluation. Now let's open the floor for comments and questions and feedbacks.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
I guess it was about 2 months ago. You may remember, for those who attended that meeting, I had a major computer glitch with my sound, a couple of things. So I took care. First of all, I want your opinion. I can take, I can take if basically the sound, everything should have worked fine tonight. Were you all able to hear me? Was everything okay? Okay, good. Because that meeting was a disaster in terms of my technical situation. So I just wanted to communicate that in case I need to make any adjustments. I appreciate your feedback.
I think you look great. You sound great this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Crystal clear.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so this question is for Toastmaster Verkler. I need to know, but I wasn't really sure what words it was I was using.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's not like a slang word. It's just, y'all like. Karen, do you have a better way of describing what I'm trying to say? It's saying it more.
They call it informal contractions.
Yes, thank you. I knew you'd have the word for it.
Yeah, when you say things like wanna, gonna, gotta go, gotta, just informal contractions.
Oh, okay. I got to work on that then. Okay, I was just wondering. Mm-hmm. I was just hoping it wasn't nothing to offend anybody, so it's just.
It wasn't. No worry, it wasn't nothing.
Okay.
No, and these are really common, usages I got conversations with friends, but in different. Right. I just want you to be more aware in different settings.
Because if I was in a contest, that would mark against me. Yeah.
We actually had to learn those usages when we were studying English.
Oh wow!
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't come natural. We learned I am going to do something, and then later on I learned you can also say I'm gonna do something. So that's 2 words for me.
Wow.
Well, I just wanted to recognize Artemis in your speech. You used some really great alliteration, and I wasn't able to write down the words fast enough, but you used a PPP to describe something.
Oh.
All adjectives, and that was nice. I liked that. And I also thought your speech was very informative and educational, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, there's the man of the hour.
Hello, Anthony.
Wow, that's a big baby. I thought that baby was just born yesterday.
Yeah.
6 months now.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption, everyone.
Wow, that's great.
I have a quick answer to Jelena, your question regarding if I'm going to get on the ride with my daughter.
Uh-huh.
I think that is why we need to have partners when we raise children. It's like you have to experience the word in different ways, and two people they usually have different ways. So with money, it's always safe and calm, a little boring kind of style. Yeah, Daddy can do that.
Yeah, I got my buddy over here. He tuning out this time. This is a Solar. I mean Prancer. Hello, buddy. Hello.
Hey, listen, if anybody would like to share my enthusiasm, I did paste the entire name and author of the book that I read that I was so excited about in the chat. And I have a list of all the books that I read, and I rated them on how great they were or boring they were. So if anybody wants to talk books, let me know. I'd love to talk about that.
Great, great.
He's paying attention now. He's looking at everybody, so he's listening to everything. Yeah.
Hey there, Mr. Anthony. How you doing?
I'm good on yourself, Bill. How are you?
Great, good, good, good.
Welcome back, Bill Moreland. How was the trip?
Guatemala is the land of the eternal spring.
Ooh.
It would be cold in the morning and the evening. My goodness, it was down to like 65. During the day, it might get as hot as 80 degrees, but it was like in the high 60s to high 70s the time I was there. Clear blue skies.
Oh,
That's good.
great.
Yeah. Yes.
Bill, how long were you there now?
Well, I left on a Saturday, there for the whole week on the volunteer construction project, then came back on Sunday, November 30th, arriving at Detroit Metro just after midnight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
you got back just in time for winter to start.
Yes, and then I'll be back there again in February at another community on the same type of work. So
great.
Wonderful.
Karen, Goodreads. Jelena does a lot of evaluations, and my book is on Goodreads. I looked it up, but the people talk about books, and there's communities you can join. And I found that's really beneficial to look at books I'm gonna read or I want to read or recommendations if I want a book. So yeah, Goodreads.com. Anyway, Jelena, you're probably a better salesperson than I am.
I am on Goodreads quite a bit. I will add this to my ever-growing TBR. I have probably close to 200 books that I'm waiting to read. My family complains that that's the only thing on my Christmas list. I don't want anything else. I just want books. So we'll see.
I keep that list at the library. My library has you can save the list, so I have a list there of everything I've read and everything that I want to read.
Do you have the apps? Was it Hoopla and Libby, the library apps?
I have Libby, but I didn't like the fact that I couldn't just get everything I wanted when I wanted it immediately. So I don't use it as much. I mean, Kim has recommended it to me. I know she's had great success with it, but I'm impatient. I can't wait. I gotta have it now.
I just have multiple books, and if one is available, I can read that one, and I'll jump to the other one when this one expires.
Yeah, my mother, she could read like 7 books a day. Just, I don't know, the speed reading thing. And she would always go wherever I am. I never know when I have to rip out a book and start reading, and I'll never get bored. And if you're bored, you're boring. And no matter what, I would be worried about her. Like, oh my God, it took so long. Oh, don't worry about it. I had my book by, that's like, I was always impressed by my mother.
Beautiful.
She would go to the Salvation Army. I would take her there, and she would just scoop up at least 100.
Wow.
Yeah, she would just read, just going vertically up and down, and then turn the page, go up and down. And she had these sophisticated words that used to aggravate people, but I guess she got them from reading.
Yes, absolutely.
My aunt would go, she know I don't understand that. I don't understand that word, but it is just very impressive. I have a
Yeah.
love of reading too.
Speaking of reading and books, it's a funny joke. Many of my friends said, I earned my doctorate when I was still teaching. And people ask me, what in the world? What was your key? The Southfield Library, third floor. I've learned to block things out and just focus on writing, after I was teaching, especially on weekends. But I shared a story. My wife tells everybody, even now, they say, Karen, I'm looking for William. Where's William? I tell you what, she'll say, try 3 places. Try Office Depot, try Tim Hortons, or try the Southfield Library. So she said, you go there, you'll find him one of those places. All right. And speaking of the Southfield Library, I have a list of book signings that some have ordered my book already. And I think December the 20th, I am having a book signing at the Southfield Library, third floor there. And I think most of you have been there. And just for your information, to be from between 1 and 2 of the book signing on the book, again, at the Southfield Library. That'll be the last one for this year. Then we are moving to, of course, next
Can you
year.
put that in the chat?
Sure.
Because I know I won't remember.
Okay. I'll do that right now.
This is Bill Moylan. I have a question for our VP of Education.
Yep.
Jelena, are you going to create then the meetings for the next 6 months, January through June, and then pre-assign the speaking slots?
Yes. Are we thinking just alphabetical order or?
I would say alphabetical order. Since Anthony would be the first one up, you can start with the first names. It's one way to do it.
Yeah, let's do that.
And running it.
Then
the other is, as area director, do you have a date and location for the area contest?
So I had contacted the Johnson. Wait, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes. I had contacted them to inquire about February 5th, Thursday, February 5th.
The Southfield Public Library is located at 26,300 Evergreen Road.
But I have not locked in that date yet. They were wanting some more information about how many people would be attending and kind of what the format would be.
Okay.
But I hope to have both of those things figured out within the next week and a half. So
very good. So we could just pencil in area contest for Thursday, February 5th.
Yes.
Okay.
Not to rush anybody, but are we ready to close the meeting?
I just want to say congratulations to Dr. Bill Liverman on being invited to the podcast. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
What was the format of the podcast? Were you speaking extemporaneously? Because I think that's what makes me nervous about podcasts. Can I speak for an hour without preparing?
Of what now I'll be speaking. I'll get the schedule. I'm looking at within the next few days, but it'll be a 45-minute speech, and they will walk you through the whole process in terms of, again, step by step. So right now, the fact that the date has been set, I believe it's June 14th, but don't wait. I'll communicate to you. That's the potential date, June 14th at 6 p.m. That's on a Wednesday, I believe. But I'll give you the specific details within the next 3 or 4 days. And then that's when they'll go through the format in terms of, again, filler words and the whole process and everything. So.
And Bill, if you want to do some dry runs and practice with us, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love to. Please, absolutely. Once we tune in on the exact date, then for those, I would love to. You can beat me up or whatever, in terms of and practice, whatever you want to do. I can take it. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. But I'll keep you all posted.
Sure.
Definitely before Christmas.
Okay, cool.
And by the way, I'm putting this in the I think everyone knows where the Southfield Library is, but anyway, for those anyway, it's in the chat now.
Does it say what day?
The potential, I'm sorry, you say day of the
Signing.
Oh, Lord, forgive me. See, I just had Dr. Bill can appreciate Bill more. I think I have him by a few years. I just celebrated my 77th birthday on the 21st of November. So sometimes the synapses do not work properly. But either way, it's going to be between 1 and 2, third floor at the library, Southfield Library, on the third floor there. And it's the moment you hit the third floor, you see me. I'll be sitting right in the middle section there. Okay. And also, there's a more official book signing on January 28th at the Southfield Library. That'll be on the first floor. So with the one on the 20th, that'll be on the third floor, but the one on the 28th, which that'll be on the first floor. But I'll give you all those details later as well.
December 20th?
No, January 28th. I don't, because someone
January 28th or 20th?
No, let me go back. The 20th for the book signing for this month, December, for December, this month, it'll be on the 20th, which should be a Saturday. The 20th of this month, Saturday, between 1 and 2. That's for the book signing, again, this month. But the one on the 28th, still Southfield Library, first floor, again, the 20th, it'd be the third floor on the 20th, but on the 28th of January, that'll be on the first floor.
Same time?
I need to check with that time there. I'll communicate that to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
I just need to double check, but I do know on the 20th, that's between 1 and 2.
And Bill, question for you. At the book signing, will the books be available for purchase?
Yes, I'll have some available. Absolutely. And absolutely. And oh yeah, maybe for those who I know another quick update. A friend of mine did ask me what mediums, let's say if you go on the website, if you go on the site, it'll be the mediums now where you can purchase the book. It's Amazon, and right now the book has a 5-star rate on Amazon now. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kindle, and Google Play. Those are the platforms where the book is available at the present time.
I'm just going to share my screen real quick because at my other club where Bill is a member, we posted some pictures of when I attended his book signing. And there I am, and there he is, and his book. So there you go, Bill. See, you're even more famous than you knew.
Oh, Lord. And one last point, the hard copy is $16.95, and the electronic copy is $9.99. Those are. So that's where we are now.
Oh, I see Sheila has a comment.
I just thank you for noticing that, Karen. I just wanted to state that on podcast, the way my secret about because I had the book too, and people wanted to talk to me on podcast because of books. Listen to a version where they talk about a book, because sometimes they ask questions specifically around that. And it's a weird thing because it is extemporaneous for the most part. But if you know the questions ahead of time, it's not like table topics where you're like, you have to think of the best. You already know what's coming at you. I was on this podcast called Queens of Tech, It's not a big podcast or anything, but it was the Queens of Tech. And I listened to previous versions and they ask the same questions. And I wrote those questions down and just made sure I had an answer. Because
Yes.
if I was also given a script for a different podcast, and I ended up listening to myself like Artemis said earlier, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound like a robot. If I have a script, I read it like a robot. So Kim would be afraid of me. You might be afraid of me anyway because I'm scary, but I'm just saying. I would not be able to organize your linen closet because mine's garbage right now. So all the closets in my house that I'm in charge of are a mess. So I sound like a robot, but I am not one.
Yes. Cheryl, you hit the nail on the head because I've listened to different podcasts regarding authors, and it's so easy. They basically just talk about the book and give them time to answer, express themselves. So it's an easy process. Once the author, they know the book and they just follow what they say. They're not going to try to trip you up. But either way, that's that. You're right. That is so true, Cheryl.
Well, it's really great because they want you to sound good.
Right.
It's not like they're not trying to give you zingers or ask something you can't answer. Anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to share one other thing. My coworker, she said, "Oh, I'm just having such a great time," and I was like, "Really? What is she?" Went to my phone and pushed the podcast, and it says, "Oh, it's just hilarious inside Trump's head." So I put it in the chat. She said, "It is just so funny." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" She said, "You're not listening to it?" So I just wanted to share the off. You hadn't heard of it. She said it's hilarious inside Trump's head. And it was kind of funny when I heard it and she played it where he said, "Fire this person. They look like a refrigerator." Something like that. But I don't know. I guess those were some jokes she was thinking it was inside of his head. They were talking about it. And I was like, wow. So that's another one.
All right. Well,
If if we don't have any further comments, we can adjourn the meeting here.
thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for sharing.
Enjoy
Merry
the meeting.
Christmas.